Hello everyone, Leaners here. I'm going to show you how I grow my garlic today. This isn't how you are supposed to grow garlic. This is how I grow garlic, and I am not a professional. So I'm just showing you what works for me. So, welcome to my little garden paradise. Little seating area. And over here is what my husband harvested today. And that's not all of it. There's already about 10 of them hanging in the greenhouse. And this is table garlic, meaning it can't be preserved for long-term storage. But this other stuff I am going to. And I don't know if you can see, but I left those roots on. So I will cover that in a second. But, and this is the corn. And one of my first zinnia of this season. It's been very cold here. We got hit with huge hail, which did that to all my beans and peppers and squash. This is one of the later seasons that I remember. So we're gonna go to where I grow the garlic. This is my little cleaning station, which I actually processed all that garlic today, and there's all the leaves that I peeled off. But I grew the garlic back in here. These are my snow peas. And the greenhouse, I'll show you that real quick. And I've already got garlic hanging. And I wouldn't hang it in here. It'd be too hot, except for I have a fan with the timer. And we removed a panel at one end, and I keep the doors open once the garlic is in there, because you don't want it to get too hot. Okay, this was my garlic garden. My husband had at it and pulled it all today, including the weeds. And way in the back, I'm going to tell you the truth, he accidentally pulled them all. He was supposed to leave the last row, so I made him replant these just for demonstration purposes. So, you harvest them when you have roughly here's one leaf, 2, and the third one either fully dry or starting to dry. And it's the 27th of June, and that's pretty average for me harvesting my garlic. But no 2 years are the same. They vary. It depends on what kind of weather you're getting, and we've already had days as hot as 93, and that got it going faster. Some years it was as late as July 7th. So, I plant my garlic, I don't know if you can see, 6 inches apart, and in rows about 15 to 18 inches apart. They need room. Also, I don't till. I just go up to the hard ground around the 25th of August, seems to be my favorite time. And I just hack a hole with this pickaxe. And here is a huge garlic clove. Look how big that baby is. You want to use your biggest ones, because that gives you the biggest head of garlic. And you just stick it down in that hole, and you just cover it. And then I take a shy tablespoon and I'll make a divot in the ground beside the garlic, and I'll put a tablespoon of slow feed, no burn, time release fertilizer. See, I've got a little tub of it here, and I use whatever brand I can get a good price on. So if I were doing this, I would make a little divot beside the garlic and put it on one side, or perfectly in between them. And you want to do that every 8 weeks from the time you plant them until about 8 weeks before you harvest them. They are greedy. If you forget to water them, they will forgive you. But if you forget to feed them, they will not. Okay, so let's go look at what I do to clean them up so I can store them. I've got chickens over here in the bushes. So, trying to walk slowly so I don't make any of us dizzy. Green beans are recovering nicely, and our blueberries are just starting to ripen. We fill the freezer with those every year, and we use them for smoothies. Okay, so I want to show you a few things here. Hold on, I forgot to get my twine. Let's go into this disgusting little shed here. You can look at the garlic peels. Okay, now I use hemp twine because it's organic, and that nylon twine will be in your garden for years and years to come, polluting it if you don't get it all out. But this will decompose, so it's really nice. Okay. So let's get this set up, and I'm going to show you a few things you're going to run into. So first off, I peel all of the dead leaves, and even though that looks great now, I will take one more, and you see this one's starting to get a little bit of a bulge, but I think it's going to be okay. I use a lot of water. So if you pay for city water, you probably don't want to do this, but I use the water to pull and help peel the leaves. And then you want this garlic to be squeaky clean, because any pink or dirty or torn peel, even if you have so much as the tiniest little scratch in it, you have to remove it. And you can keep taking leaves all the way down to where you only have one skin around that garlic, and it will dry beautifully, and it will keep in storage. And I'm going to do a separate video on storing your garlic and show you how it looks when you know it's dry enough to cut down and put in storage. And then I stick it in fresh water. And see, this is no good. Can't use it. It started to split, but it makes for good table garlic. See, here's some more. Now, this is called a bulbil. And it's referred to as a seed because if you plant it, it will grow. But it is an exact clone of the mother plant, so therefore it is technically not a seed because it does not contain genetic material from another plant. And they do grow seed heads, which are true seeds. But once they've done this, all you can do is cut it and use it for table garlic. And table garlic, I preserve that on a cookie sheet. I break them up, I put them on my counter, and I let them dry. And then I'll take the biggest, fattest ones, and that's next year's planting. And I plant those around the 25th of August, like I showed you with the little pickaxe. And then the smaller ones we just eat, and they keep for 4 or 5 months on the counter. I call it table garlic because it keeps right on the counter at normal room temperature. Okay, let's get these out of here. Put them back in the bucket. And I want to show you how I tie them up. I try to keep everything really clean, because if you get one moldy garlic, it can ruin the whole hanging clump or all your garlic. And you don't want to dry it in a damp place, because too damp of a location will cause it to start molding. So I take anywhere from 7 to 10 head of garlic, and I kind of stagger them. And then I start just, whoops, sorry to bump you guys. I start just kind of where the stem turns into leaves, and I do multiple wraps, because these are going to shrink when they start to dry, and if you just tie it once, they can fall out of it. So I kind of cinch it so that as it slumps, as these shrink and it slumps. Have I got this straight? I bumped it. Okay, we're good. As these things shrink, since it's been wrapped several times, it'll just cinch up on it. And then I will wrap it a ways up. Oh, and before I wrap it up, I like to tie one loop, just to start with. I like an upper and a lower loop, and that way I can stagger them on the hooks in the greenhouse. Then I will wrap up into the leaves a little bit, but I don't want to go all the way up on the leaves. We want those leaves hanging out there so that they can lose moisture. By having the leaves hanging here, you lose moisture. And do not cut the roots off. The roots are essential also in helping the plant dry out and lose moisture. So, leave the roots on, pull all damaged or compromised skin. See, like even that little bit, you don't even want that there. Make sure there are absolutely no breaks in your final layer of skin, and there can't even be a break in the stem. It's got to go all the way up to the leaf collar. So, here we go. I got 2 hooks, which allows me to hang it at a variance of 6 inches. Okay, so then, let me unhook this without dropping you. Okay. So then I take this thing into my greenhouse, which has a panel open at each end. I'm not worried about the light. I stopped taking the algae off of it. See? Look at the top. All covered with algae and moss. I don't have to put shade cloths up, and the tomatoes grow beautifully with it all covered in algae. Every year when I got this, I would have to cover it or it would just cook. Aren't those beautiful? Asian snow peas. And they're just perfect. We've been eating them almost every night. And then a month later, I direct sow another planting, so we have them longer through the season. Okay, into the greenhouse, and you see I've already got a bunch hanging up there. And the reason I do 2 different lengths on the loops is because I don't want these bulbs hitting side by side. So since I did a shorter loop here, I can hang it up and see they're still hitting. So I'm going to put it on a different hook. And okay, and this one is on the longer hook, but I may hook it up on the shorter one. There we go. Okay. See the different heights? Because this is going to be, you saw how much garlic I have out there. This is going to be packed. In fact, I'll be putting them up on these hooks all over. It'll be just hanging garlic everywhere. So by having them at different lengths, the strings, so you see they're not on top of each other. They're just stretched around. And I'll come in every few days and I'll just do this. Because if you leave two garlic bulbs sitting together like that and you don't bump them around, they'll start to form mold in between. So you got to come in and just kind of play with them every few days. And again, you leave all these roots. These roots will help the plant release all of its moisture. And these leaves will. And these leaves will turn brown and fall over. And that doesn't mean they're ready, but that means they're getting close. But like I said, I'm going to do a video showing you exactly what they look like when they're ready to take down. And then we have one more step before we put them in storage. And we've got it to where these last us a year now. And look at the size of some of these bulbs. Look at these big, huge bulbs. I got to show you these. These are just, look how big they are. They're just massive. I don't know if I can get my hand behind that. That thing is as big as a softball. And I found that slow feed works way better to get a haul like this and get big, huge, big, massive bulbs than immediate release. And it doesn't burn them. Okay, tomato plants. See, they love it in here. They do great. They're already about 4 feet tall. So I will do a video. You know, the time that it takes for these things to dry varies based on how much moisture's in the air and the temperature. Here's my little high tunnel. We've got more potatoes, tomatoes, which are pretty sad looking, Swiss chard, parsley. I'm going to have Japanese cucumbers on the trellis. And then we've got broccoli that we've already harvested, and now I'm letting it go to seed because I do seed bank and grow a lot of my own stuff from seed. And then some peppers. They're not doing so great. I had a pH issue with my compost this year. And I just put a bunch of calcium carbonate in to fix it. And maybe I'll do a video on that. We've already been harvesting potatoes even though they're not done. You could still dig into them. They don't have to be done to get a meal out of them. So, that's it, you guys. Slow feed fertilizer. I don't even care what brand it is. I just lucked out and got organic. But I buy it during the winter. It's cheaper. It's more available. You get it at half the cost. Buy it in bulk. I order it online through Home Depot, and then, you know, I'm putting it down year-round depending on what it is, whether it's blueberries, which are in the ground during the winter, or raspberries, you can see over there, and then we have blackberries, thornless. There's a lot of stuff we grow here that stays in the ground and produces food. We've got Jerusalem artichoke right there. There's a lot of stuff here. So I guess that's it. I've got a lot of garlic to wrap up and hang. You all have a lovely evening, and thanks for watching.